Hey everyone, and welcome to the number 2 Septic podcast. Today, I'm really excited to have Jon Jouvenaux on the podcast. He's been a speaker at a lot of conferences and owns a multitude of businesses spanning the entire septic industry. So we're just all blessed to have him on here today, hear from his wisdom and knowledge. And today we're going to be talking about how to vertically integrate your septic business. So Jon, can you tell us more about all of your businesses, where you're at, and kind of the scope of what you do?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for this opportunity today. I always love sharing our story, and hopefully, the listeners will be able to get something out of this that will help them as well. My partner and I have owned BBB Septic and portable toilets here in Northwest Arkansas for, 33 years, something like that. Started off as just one little toilet truck and a used propane truck that we converted into a septic truck. And, now we run a fleet of 20 plus and, all the excavators and all that. So been very blessed in our industry. And we figured out, 10 years or better ago, our volume was going up. We're running more trucks. We're servicing more septics. And the wastewater treatment plants in our area were starting to shut us off, or they would only take waste from a certain city that they were in, and which made logistical nonsense. When you're trying to, pick up 4 or 5 septics before you go dump, but you have to do them all in one city. It just didn't make sense. So we started looking for a plan to figure out how to own our own disposal facility. And, I've worked with a lot of companies around the country now that we've created a machine for allowing our waste hauler trucks. We can unload a 4,000 gallon truck in 10 minutes. Our guys don't have to rake anything. It's all automated. It's been an amazing thing. So as we've been going around the country and helping other companies get set up, we've just learned a lot. I was just down in Killeen, Texas, and those guys down there, like third or fourth generation, and they bought a 600-acre farm that now the city is around them. So they're a centrally located dump facility, not just for themselves, but they were fortunate enough that generations ago they bought what was outside of town, and now the town is around them. And so they've got not only handling their wastewater, but also all the competitors around them are dumping on them as well. Well, I didn't have that opportunity to go back 60 years and buy property that's now in the middle of town, right? So we had to figure out what to do. We tried to buy 13 acres that was not too far out of town, and I learned a very valuable lesson in our industry. You don't buy property under your business, your septic business name. Because when you do, and then the mayor takes it before the city council to approve whatever it is you want to do on that site. I don't know if y'all remember Young Frankenstein, where all the townspeople show up to the castle with torches and pitchforks. But that's what that city council meeting looked like when we were trying to get that 13 acres approved. The mayor put out on Facebook that we were going to do a sewage dump there. And everything would have been underground and in a building, and there would have been no odor. But he totally submarined us because it was the not in my backyard, the NIMBY syndrome. Nobody wanted a sewage dump in their neighborhood. So we've learned we have an LLC now that we buy all of our properties under, and that LLC is owned by Dave and I as well, but we just triple net lease the properties after we get them developed to our company, and we're able to fly under the radar. So that's a little tidbit for all you guys that are growing. Start an LLC and do that to buy your real estate. Get what you need done before you lease it to your company. But we ended up finding an 80-acre farm that's about 45, 50 minutes out of town. Not conducive for having, 8 little portable toilet trucks driving that far out of town just to dump. And so what I did was I found these unique properties in and around where we spend most of our time, and some of them have like ravines around them and stuff, and we were able to build depots. Basically, we have one of our muckraker machines that's built by Vibra Waste, one of our companies. We have that sitting there, and then we have a frac tank that after it comes out of our receiving station, it's pumped into there for holding. And then we've developed a system where we have a bulk hauler that runs through the night, and he goes around to all the depots and he'll pull down 5,000 gallons at a time. If we're going to land apply that load, then he blends hydrated lime with it and takes it out to the farm. And we've got a farm manager out there that the next day will then land apply that solution to fields that we use for growing hay. If it's not conducive weather for land application, then we dewater using an in-the-round dewatering unit. And if that load is going to be dewatered, then he doesn't blend the hydrated lime in it. It takes it out to the farm. It goes into a holding tank and is agitated to keep all the solids suspended. And then the next day, Kevin will run a batch of 20-something thousand gallons through our dewatering unit. The water that comes off of that ends up going, we've got 3,600 feet of infiltrator chambers buried in a little over an acre. And we can push 5,000 gallons a day out to that field. It's got 4 zones and ratcheting valves that, rotate between each of the zones through the day. And so basically for about every acre of lateral lines that we have in the ground, we can process a little over 2 million gallons a year through that system.
Wow.
And then the solids that come off of that is what Net Zero Waste, is our other company. That's what we're going to champion, is turning all that into a soil amendment product. All the while, we have a process where we will be obliterating PFAS and microplastics and pharmaceuticals. And we'll not only be doing that for our company, but also for the local municipalities around us, who right now are having to take that stuff out into farmland or sending it to a landfill. And neither one is getting rid of the PFAS and the microplastics, pharmaceuticals. So our process will fix that. So that's our latest project that we're working on. So we've covered a lot of ground there. Wow. I don't know what questions do you have?
Probably so many questions.
Right.
So you really you've created the entire solution from front to back. And so if someone just has a septic company, which, I say that's still a big deal to have a septic company. But they see this big picture of everything you've built over a long period of time with a lot of consistency. That can feel overwhelming. Right. So talk to us a little bit about how you just took things step by step and sort of what the mindset you had to have as you took, you got into each new business venture that allowed you to walk that journey. And if someone's interested, what would be the best first step? Would it be buying the land and, having their own dumping site, or kind of how would that process look?
Sure. Well, it's, in the septic world, especially when somebody says, I'm going to build a house, how much is a septic going to cost? And the first thing we have to say is it depends, right? It depends on how many bedrooms. It depends on what the soil qualifies as, what's the absorption rate? What are the regulations in your state? And I will say we're working with companies. I got a letter or an email from a company in Ohio yesterday, and they've already signed the agreement with they've gotten approval through the regulatory bodies, and they've signed an agreement with their engineering firm, and they will be building something very similar to our clean water farm in Ohio. Yeah. Had some guys here from Tennessee last week that we did an industry tour, showed them everything that we've done, and they look like they'll be doing something on their own. We just set somebody up in Arizona. So every one of these situations looks different. My situation is probably the worst, because the guys in Texas, we delivered a machine to them and got them set up. And of course, it's totally changed their operation, being able to dump at 400 gallons a minute. Yeah. But that 600 acres, they 100% land apply, and they're growing 600 acres of Bermuda. Bermuda grass has the highest nutrient uptake of any plant out there that we can grow as a source for agriculture. So the Bermuda is wonderful for taking up, the nitrogen and all the stuff that we need to be handled. Again, though, you can't go back in time and buy that 600 acres. The company in Arizona that we just fixed up, the only thing they had to do to fix their problem was buy one of our muckrakers and put it in their shop. And to me, that's maybe the most genius setup I've seen so far. And if I step back in the conversation to some of your questions to explain what I just said, at the time that we started looking at our own disposal solution, we were spending $15,000 a month in dump fees. And of course that number can range from 2 cents, 4 cents a gallon, all the way up to, I know companies that are paying 30 and 40 cents a gallon to dump. And some of those companies that are paying 30 and 40 cents are having to drive an hour and a half to get to the dump facility. And then they're having to sit in line waiting for 4 other trucks in front of them. And it takes an hour and 15 minutes to dump a truck because they're gravity dumping. So there's all of these components, right, that go into the math.
Right.
Well, if you step back to what I was saying, we were spending $15,000 a month. Well, 6-7 years ago when we bought and built our clean water farm, that didn't include the depots at that time. It was about, by the time we did the depots and everything, it was probably about $1.3 million. And for a small company, well, even for us at the time, I mean, it's like, dear God, that's
right.
Who wants to go in debt? My partner and I he was close to 60 years old and I was about 55, 54. At that age, who wants to go into debt for $1.3 million? But if you do the math, right, at that time, the interest rates were around 4 or 5%. Well, and they're not too much different now, 6-7%. So right now, if you were to get a loan on $1 million, the payback on that's going to be around $7,000 a month. Okay, well, that would have put me $8,000 to the bottom line immediately.
Yeah.
So it looks like this huge number, but then when you factor, okay, but I'm going to save $8,000 a month, and then you go to the next compounding factor, and that is because we invented the muckraker and we can dump our trucks in 10 minutes. Well, now instead of spending an hour to dump a truck, I can do it in 10 minutes. And typically our septic trucks are dumping twice a day. Well, I'm putting 2 hours of productivity back on each truck. So if I'm running 3 trucks a month or 3 trucks a day, that's 1 more septic pump out per truck per day. That's $30,000 additional revenue just on our septic side because of the fact that we control where we dump. We control how long it takes us to dump. We don't ever have to get a call from somebody saying we're going up on your rates. We've locked that in. Nobody can call us and say, hey, we're out of capacity. We've got that handled. So it seems like this huge number, but it's really not when you start figuring, okay, because I've vertically integrated, now I can add $30,000 revenue additional to my company, and I'm saving $8,000 on dump fees.
Yeah.
You see how that, that makes it to where it's not nearly as scary.
Yeah.
Right? So when we look at the guys in Killeen, they already had the entire farm and everything else set up. So all they needed to do was speed up their capacity to dump and be able to get trucks in and out a lot faster. In Arizona, the company there, they're located on the uphill side of town by the airport. The wastewater treatment plant is all the way on the other side of town, and the sewer line between their shop and the wastewater treatment plant has to go through all the hotel district and the restaurant district and the apartments and the housing district. It goes through the entire town.
Yeah.
And when you use our machine, the only solids that get into the liquid have to be the size of a BB or smaller. Anything larger than a BB is getting screened out of that. It's getting compressed and has the water squeezed out of it, and it's ready to go to the landfill. So the only thing that's going into the outflow of our machine would have to be small enough to slide down the barrel of a BB gun. Okay. Well, when you talk to the wastewater treatment plant in Arizona, which, by the way, they want as much water as they can get.
Yeah.
But when we dump our trucks, that's 40 to 50 times stronger on the wastewater strength than what is normally coming into their plant So what happens when we dump a truck, and this is why a lot of wastewater treatment plants don't want us to dump at their facility, is because it causes a surge event. They have 50 times stronger water that just hits their plant, and the biology of their plant can't handle that strong surge. It messes up the microbes in their plant. Well, if we go to the other side of town, we put our machine in and they tap into a 4-inch sewer main, and they connect our machine to it, and they dump their trucks, and nothing bigger than a BB is going down in that sewer line. It has to make its way all the way across town, and by the time the hotels and the restaurant district and the apartments and the housing district, by the time all of that water hits it, it's all been diluted down to where it's regular strength wastewater, and by the time it hits the plant, they never have a surge event. So he was able to fix his dumping solution for the cost of buying one of our machines, which
That's
was
the muckraker, correct?
the muckraker. Yeah. So, and I think right now they're around 130,000, but I mean, compared to 1.2, 1.3 million,
Right.
that's I wish I could have done that. And I think that maybe they got their machine about 2 months ago. I think we've got about another month, and then the city's going to be running cameras through their lines to make sure that we're not causing any buildup of grit or anything like that in the sewer lines. But if that passes, man, I think it's going to change the world on how some of us can, around the country, if we work with our wastewater treatment plants and we think about this in a way. And by the way, now that we've got one that's already up and running that way, it's a lot easier. Same way with our clean water farm. I've got regulatory people from Alabama and Georgia and Ohio and Colorado and many states we're working with right now, that because we already have a permit in Arkansas for what we deemed as our clean water farm. Now all these other states, it's not so scary because they're like, oh, well, if they did it in Arkansas, let's look at their permit and see what they allowed them to do. And then we can kind of, change what we need to change to fit our state regulations.
Yeah. So it sounds like math is really the path for people that are looking at expanding, and you have to know your numbers. You have to know your efficiency rate with your truck, and it's different for everyone, like you said. But I think it's really important just to latch onto that piece is you have to know your numbers.
Absolutely.
You have to do the math. And I think all of business is really managing risk in some way or another. If you do things risk free, you probably don't have a business anymore. So there's some level of risk that you have to manage, but it's just about being smart with it. And when you can put the numbers behind it and do the math behind it, it becomes a really big win. It can be a really big win.
Well, and risk, yes. But you know what? It's the people that I'm helping now, it's pretty much zero risk for them. Yeah. I'm the one that took the risk. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I told one of the guys the other day. I was like, dude, you don't have to figure this out. We've already carved the road. We've already paved it. We've already put street signs up. All you got to do is follow the map. I mean, it's all done, Yeah. So it's not nearly as risky for everybody else now as it was for us, but yeah.
Did you find with this whole process when you're owning the entire vertical, did you change your pricing? I mean, obviously your profit margin increased pretty significantly. So did you end up being able to sort of, everyone has a different philosophy on this, but did you sort of undercut the market a little bit because you could, or you just kind of kept your prices the same, but your profit margin was better?
Correct. Well, and, number one, we tell everybody we're never going to be the cheapest because we're the best. You've got to make a choice. Yeah. You can't have the best and the cheapest. You're going to have to make a choice. And we all of our marketing, and I know we talked about having another session, and I'd love to do that, but all of our marketing is focused around two things: humor, because toilet humor is freaking hilarious.
It's endless. Yeah.
And education. And I spend a lot of time going around to our local real estate agencies and for their Tuesday morning meeting that they have once a week or once a month, I'll go in and I'll do a 1 hour Septic 101 education course with pictures, and I show them, permits and how systems are laid out. And, you gotta remember that your septic system takes up more of a footprint than your house does, even though you don't see it. And that blows their mind, so the fact that we are known as the authority in our market space because we spend so much time on education. And so we've also developed, it's kind of like the old Christmas Story movie where, if Macy's didn't have it, they sent them down the street to the next store because they knew they had a sale on whatever the toy was that they didn't have. I mean, we have real estate agents that and people that call us, even though we're not necessarily going to do work on their system, but they're like, can you tell us what, we have a way, the 2 counties we work in, they've digitized the septic permits and attached it to the parcel map. It's
great.
Not easy to find. So we've created YouTube videos that we share with people so they can know how to go. But most of the time they'll just call my office, and my office will not only they'll look up what the county has, but then we also have our data because we've been in business for so long and we've digitized all of our records as well. So we've become the source, right? And the authority in our marketplace. So no, I never drop prices. And what I did do was the extra profits is what I used to go and do in the R&D to make the muckraker, and doing the R&D to figure out what we're going to do with net zero waste and how we process these solids. And, all of those take time and money to do that research and development. So no, we didn't go down on our price. And I also, in Killeen, those guys make very good money for allowing all their competitors to come dump at their facility, and their competitors now love it because they can get in and out so quick, and they don't mind paying. I don't feel that way. I'm not hating anybody in my region, but Dave and I had to spend $1.3 million to fix our disposal problem. My competitors can do the same if they need to do that. I'm not letting anybody else dump in my system. Now that's just my choice,
Yeah.
But,
There's different ways to do it. Yeah.
right.
So what are you working on now? Because it sounds like as soon as you solve one problem, you're moving on to the next. So what's the current problem that you're working on now?
Well, the biggest thing right now, I spend most of my time doing stuff like this, hosting people that come here, and we take them on an entire tour of our facilities, the farm, the depots. And because once you see it, we think in pictures.
Yeah.
And when you say clean water farm and you've never seen one or a depot, it's like people have trouble visualizing that because they don't have a picture they can recall, right? And so once they see it, it really kind of helps them move along the path for figuring out, okay, how do we do this at home? The biggest issue right now that we see is, especially like in Oklahoma, and in other places, well, there's really 2 problems. People in our industry are really either really good stewards or they're not. And I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but all these shows that we're going to, the different conferences and stuff, we hear people tell stories about, they'll go pump septics out and then they'll go drive out in Old Man Johnson's farm and just dump it. And then when they have a slow day, everybody loads up in a pickup truck with the little grabby bars and a bucket, and they walk through Old Man Johnson's field picking up tampon applicators and condoms and baby wipes and trash that's all in the field. And I'm like, that's not good. That's not the way you do this. You need to screen it before you do that. So that's another reason why our muckraker is so valuable, is because it makes screening so fast and it cleans it up so good that when we land apply, you can't even tell that we've been there because there's nothing bigger than a BB coming out of the back of the truck.
Yeah.
The other thing is the solids, the disposal of the solids. That's really more of a municipal problem. But you're finding articles now that are surfacing. There's a farm in Michigan. It was a 3rd or 4th generation beef cattle farm that got seized by the EPA in 23 because they were receiving the wastewater solids from the municipal plant in town. There was a chrome plating facility that was a part of that city's industrial area, and this farm got seized because of the amount of PFAS in their, not only in their pastures, but in the beef that was going onto the shelves. Wow. It was so saturated with PFAS that the EPA seized their property and their operation. You've got articles coming out in Oklahoma where municipalities are spreading biosolids on farmland. And after a big rain event, the farmer next door's got 40 cattle laying in his field dead because of the PFAS contamination to the cattle. Wow. So we've got some problems that we need to figure out, and that's what, net zero waste, that's what my team and I are working on now. And like I said, our process will eliminate the PFAS and the microplastics and pharmaceuticals. But from a business point, how cool would it be, you as a septic owner, portable toilet owner, we've always been subject to the municipalities telling us, hey, your rates are going up. Hey, we can't take you anymore. How cool would it be if we turn around and they start paying us to process their biosolids?
Yeah.
Hey,
it becomes a solution.
Here's what it's going to cost you to pay me to take care of your problem. And by the way, everybody talks about our industry kind of being recession proof because everybody poops. And I'm here to tell you, we lived through 7, 8, 9, 10, and there were people holding it. I mean, it was rough, but you got to figure if it comes between you changing the oil in your car or feeding your kids this week, you're going to let that oil change go. And it's the same way with the septic pump out.
Yeah.
If it's maintenance or feeding my kids, I'm going to feed my kids.
Right.
Well, with this net zero waste model, the municipal funds, we are going to be vertically integrated to a point where it'll be recession proof because municipal funds don't slow down when the economy slows down. They still got to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that as a businessman that I'm most excited about is that leveling out of the economy structure and being able to, have another income stream that's more protected than we've ever been before. So, and we're looking at partners around the country. Some of these operators that we've already been working with, we're going to be, once we get phase 1 up and running here in Arkansas, we'll be looking for partners to work with in other regions to develop the same process around the country. So,
okay, that was going to be my next question. So, if guys want to work with you,
absolutely,
on the net zero, with the muckracker, if they're interested in putting in their own treatment facility, those are all things that they can come to you, find you, and you'll mentor them through those things.
Sure, absolutely, and we're not charging consulting fees or franchise. I mean, look, I'm an old man that's been doing this a long time. My income is secure. My wife's already retired. My business partner's pretty much retired. I mean, we're not fabulously wealthy. We're not Elon Musk wealthy, but we're doing fine. And I don't know, this is just kind of our way of giving back to our industry that's been so good to us. And so, we don't charge. I mean, we charge for our machine, obviously. But we're working with companies like Infiltrator. They know about our clean water farm because we used primarily all their components when we built it. And so they're very eager that as we help these other operators in other states to, work on some reduced pricing and stuff to where they can help these operators get the same thing going in their states. So, we've got some really good industry partners that are wanting to help us get this across the nation as well. So,
yeah. Well, and the net zero to me is also just as a citizen of this nation, I hope that spreads everywhere, and that's taken care of everywhere, because we don't need that in our water. We don't need that in our food and in our beef, and the farmers don't need it. The cattle doesn't need it. Our economy doesn't need it. So, just really solving, as you went down the chain of solving another problem and then another problem, the impact of what you're doing just spreads. And so that's a very exciting thing about being an entrepreneur and being a business owner, the impact that you can have that has these ripple effects out there.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy finding a problem and going, okay, well, I think we can fix that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Just give me a welder and a torch and some metal and we'll fabricate something.
Yeah. You're the type just looks at a problem and is like, I can figure it out. We can figure it out one way or another. Yeah. And are you usually the one who's finding the solutions, or do you tend to bring people around you as a team to help find those solutions?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm the guy that's 30,000 feet, and I can see the bigger picture. It's not that I'm special. That's just how I'm bent.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the depot situation, I've got a buddy that's in the trucking industry, and so I'm like, okay, let's start looking at numbers on mileage. Let's look at numbers on fuel. And so he helped me. I am very quick to admit I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I'm always eager. I find talent, and it's just like the first muckraker we built was built in China because I couldn't find the people here locally that would understand what I was doing and do it at an economic price that made sense. So I ended up dealing with China. I'm not ashamed to say that. That was just the only option I knew of at the time.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening along the way, I met people, I was introduced to people. Now our machines are made 45 minutes from my house by a group of industrial millwrights. It's 100% American made.
Awesome.
Everything is sourced. Our industrial electrician is right up there, just not too far from where that builds all of our control panels and stuff. The screen elements that we use for the separation of the solids and the liquids, that's right out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it's now it's 100% American made, but along the way, yes, I've assembled a team of people that are better at things than I am. I just am the one that refuses to say we can't fix it. When they tell me, well, John, that really doesn't work that way. And I'm like, all right, well, what about working this way? I'm the one that I don't have the quit in me. And so I'm really good at getting people that are really talented to come with me on a journey and expand their thinking and then put their talents to use. And I've got a team now. We just added somebody to our net zero team, Angela Horton, and she came out of the banking industry. And our biggest deal has been trying to figure out how to get this thing funded. And she knows about grants. She knows about the banking industry, the rules. And just her coming along with us over the last month is just, we've gotten so much traction on moving this thing forward because she understands that part of it. We've got a fractional CFO that's working with us on modeling out the entire business and what does that look like in 5 years and in 10 years. And I don't know how to do that stuff.
Right.
But I bring the right people around me. So yeah, surrounding yourself with a team of talented people, that's probably one of my best skills.
Yeah. And also knowing yourself and,
right.
Really just staying in your lane of what you
Absolutely.
do and not getting wrapped up in the minutia of the day to day so that you can stay big picture. And it sounds like also networking has been a huge part of finding that talent.
Yes.
Also, sharing your products with the world. And so that's a part-time job in of itself, networking.
It's a full-time job for me, but
yeah.
But I love, my wife cracks up. We were at a hotel in Springfield, Missouri Monday night, and we're sitting at the bar at the end of the evening and just having a cocktail, and there was this guy sitting at the bar, and the next thing you know, we're talking about how our industries could work together. And my wife is like, we can't even go to a hotel in another state and you not find somebody to talk to about what you're doing. I'm like, it just happens. I don't know why it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. We have a good time.
That's great. What is and so if you have probably our average listener is a septic operator. And so what would be some advice you can give to that person as they look at solving some bigger problems and the kind of the whole chain of all the pieces? What advice would you give to them? And I know you said everyone's different, but what would be probably a logical first step for them?
Well, the very first thing they need to do, and this doesn't matter if it's this is any business, right? What is it that you do that makes you the most money for the least amount of effort? And if you don't know what that is in your company, if you don't know if your portable toilets make you more money than your septic side, if you don't know if your install side is making less or more money than your pump out side, if you don't know what those KPIs are, then you're really not in business. You just own a job.
Yeah.
And you really don't know, you don't know what's happening tomorrow because you don't know what's happening today. You've got to be able to look at that. And so number one, know what you make the most money doing for the least amount of effort, and then how do you capitalize on that? The other things you look at, that's on the profit side. What's my biggest expense, right? What's costing me the most money? Is it breakdowns on my trucks? Should I be buying newer trucks and having less breakdowns? Should I lease the cabin chassis that goes under my tanker, because that way the lease company pays for all the oil changes and tires and any PM that has to happen to that truck? Or should I buy an older truck because I'm mechanically skilled and a breakdown, I'm a one truck operation, and if the truck's broke down for a day or two and I have to fix it myself, that's way cheaper than the cost of, you've got to know how much your equipment is making you, right? You got to know how much it's costing you. So you have to not just look at the profit side, but you also have to look at the cost structure side. And those are, the bigger you get, the more those can submarine you without you even knowing it's coming. So you got to start when you're small, figuring out, okay, these are what I make the most money doing for the least amount of effort. That's where I'm going to point my marketing dollars, because and then what are ancillary things that I can add into that? Should I have a bacteria product that we offer to our customers at the pump out, where you can raise the ticket price per pump out or per service call? Now you've got more revenue coming in for the same amount of effort because you've added something like that to your deal. We offer a preferred maintenance program, and our customers we draft money out of their bank account on the first of every month, and once every 5 years we go pump their septic out, and we don't charge them any more for it. It's taken care of in their monthly fee, and then we also send them the bacteria that they need to apply once a month to their system for that 5-year window. And it basically is super cheap compared to what they would pay if they were on sewer, right? But it takes it out of sight, out of mind. It puts the maintenance on our schedule. If they do end up having a problem because they're preferred customer, we give them discounts, we give them priority service. And that right there is an annuity. That's an income stream that's coming into us every month. And by the way, if you ever get ready to sell your business, that's a book of business. Those are contracts that are value to your company, that are real. It's not just blue sky. And the beauty of it is, I know that we've got a customer on their anniversary dates coming up in a plus or minus 2-month window. We've got a deal in our office. And if we get a call to go out to Elkins Road, to go do a pump out, and we've got a customer that's 2 doors down from that, we just plug them onto that same day. And that way we've reduced our time, our labor time. We've reduced our fuel costs. We've reduced our trip fees, and we're multiplying our profits because we're going to be doing stuff right there together. So it's doing little things like that along the way, that leverage of that money coming in every month, that helps to level out your income stream, even in the winter months or whatever months that you may not be busy. You still know you've got that amount of money coming in every month, right? And that also makes sure that you're never going to have to market to go get that customer again, because they're already locked in. So you don't have to worry about sending, oh, hey, it's time, maybe you should think about booking us. No, it's already a done deal. So it's little things like that along the way that, no matter how big or how small you are, if you're paying attention to those few things and you're putting those into play, it can greatly strengthen your foundation of what you now can should I take a chance and try to build my own disposal facility?
Yeah.
You know, you've got some concrete to stand on.
Yeah, you have data, and then you can make data-based decisions from that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And, taking a book out of your playbook, John, if anyone's listening and they're terrible at spreadsheets and data, find someone who's talented.
Absolutely.
And bring them in and have them do that.
Yeah. I will tell you, as an old man, I don't know spreadsheets, but Claude and I have become very good friends.
Yeah.
And I have real estate as well. That's another great move that I did, 25 years ago. I started buying rental properties, and so, now I've got properties that are paid off, and, retirement income is secured. But I was like, okay, I want to know in that business, I was just flying by the seat of my pants. But I put all the information, what the loans are, the interest rate, the rent coming in, the maintenance, I put every detail that I could come up with into Claude, and Claude created me a personal financial statement structure. I know to the minute what my net worth is. Yeah. I know to the minute what profits coming in from which properties, which ones are not making me as much profit. And I didn't know how to do any of that, but just because I put in the data, AI just spit out, okay, here's what your picture looks like. It's crazy how cool that is and how easy it is.
Yeah. We use Claude all the time in our agency, and it's really good at data analysis. So if there's if you have a ton of data, like if you have your QuickBooks account, you can download all the data from your QuickBooks account and just literally upload it and then if you have a CRM that you're using, you can download all the data. You can put that all in, and it does all the processing for you.
Absolutely.
And spits it out for you. So AI is a great cheat code.
Yeah. I'm glad it's named Claude and not Claudette, because if it was Claudette, my wife would swear I'm having an affair as much time as I spend with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Once you have that first aha moment, there's no going back.
No. Yeah. It's the biggest frustration is when it's like, well, you're out of data. It'll be 8:30 tonight before you can. I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
I was right in the middle of a good thought.
You got to upgrade.
I know. I know.
It's worth it. Yeah. So if you were to go back in time to John when he first started out, and you first had that, very first, I think it said you was a portable that you started out with. If you were to go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
Read. I've never been a good reader, and I've never been a good student up until I've gotten into my 40s. That's when I started becoming a really good student. And I was a good student, hands-on and learning in that way, but reading but once Audible came out and I could start listening to books, the E-Myth Revisited that's my story. My first business, I was an automotive mechanic. I failed at $250,000 in debt and had to close the doors. And the reason I'm a part of this company now is because they were one of my customers. I fixed up my truck as a mobile repair rig, and I would go around working on fleet trucks at night, and this was one of my customers.
Wow.
And then after about a year of doing that, I was doing their portable toilet route for extra money, and then another 6 months down the road, something happened, and I had an opportunity to be one of the guys that bought the brothers out. So I didn't choose this. It chose me. But the E-Myth Revisited for any entrepreneur is almost like the Bible.
Yeah.
Another book that I never finished, but I read enough of it, it's called Blue Ocean Strategies. And the subtitle is How to Make Your Competition Irrelevant. And that book, Dave and I have always, anything we do in our business, how do we operate this in a blue ocean and not a red ocean? The portable toilet industry is a red ocean. But how do we do our portable toilet business in a way where it's more of a blue ocean than a red ocean, and we differentiate ourselves from the competition? Those books, The Go-Giver is a really short, it's like a 2-hour listen, and it's a great little story, but it talks about being a connector, which is, I've become that guy where, just like in the hotel, it's like, I have young business people all the time. They're like, hey man, can I visit with you? I got some questions. And and that the Go Giver, those 3 books. I listen to at least a book a week. I don't listen to Sirius XM in my truck. I'm listening to audiobooks or podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
But using your drive time as your school time, there is no number that you can put on what that's going to mean to your bank account. There's no number.
Yeah. That's fantastic advice. Jon, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I think I can just speak for our whole audience and myself. We're not done listening to you because we definitely need a round 2.
All right, let's do it.
We look forward to having you back on again to talk about BBB Septic and how you became that, the red ocean, and how you really dominated your local area with that septic company. We just look forward to having you back on again.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. I'm always happy to join in in your marketing side. I'm an old man. I was here when we were buying ads in the phone book.
Yeah.
So I lived through the whole transition of understanding how we got to where we are now. So, if you want to talk about marketing, there's a lot of subjects that I think we could share, that would help folks. That. So I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Can you tell the folks where to find you if they're interested in working with you on becoming more of a vertical in their industry?
Sure. The easiest is probably bbbseptic.com, vibrawaste.com. Of course, we'll have a booth at the NAURA mega conference in Colorado. We'll have a booth, VibraWaste will have a booth at the WEC fair in Nashville. And then, as we do every year, we'll have a booth, and I'll be speaking at the WET show in 27 in Indianapolis. So come see me in person there. Come visit our farm. bbbseptic.com or vibrawaste.com would probably be the easiest ways. Just you can always find us through there.
Great. Thank you so much, Jon.
You bet, Ashley. Thank you.